Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Local Government. Does he favour the privatisation of local authorities' infrastructure?
The Honourable John Carter.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Local Government, I reply no. I favour efficient and effective delivery of service provided by councils. Some are best delivered by councils directly and some by private enterprise contracting with council. I support councils making their own decisions within the law and representing the wishes of the ratepayers.
Phil Twyford. Point of order, is it? Is it a supplementary? Supplementary. Phil Twyford.
Does his...
Order. Order. The member's entitled to ask a question. Phil Twyford.
Does his Local Government 2002 Amendment Bill allow private ownership of water infrastructure for periods of up to 35 years?
The Honourable John Carter.
Yes, Mr Speaker. Let me reiterate that there is no proposal, however, to privatise water anywhere within New Zealand. I've told the House on a number of occasions the decision is simply this: to take what the Labor government had in place for many years, which was that one could enter a public-private partnership for 15 years and to allow an extension for up to 35 years if the council and the ratepayers deem that to be appropriate.
Brendon Burns.
Thank you. Supplementary to the Minister. If a council did not build it, does not own it for 35 years, does not operate it, does not maintain it, and does not control it, as his changes to the bill allow for, how can it be anything other than privatisation?
The Honourable John Carter.
Well, the fact is, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Minister of Local Government, the member first of all actually needs to look up the dictionary to see the definition of private ownership. Can I just say this to the member, that the fact is we're talking about private PPPs in regard to the management of water. The council will always own the water supply. That is what the law requires to have happen. We are not talking about privatisation. The councils own the public water supplies. It may be, if they deem it the most efficient and effective way to get good performance of delivery of water to the public, then they may ask that the private sector to administer the water, but it's no way that that's privatising the actual asset.
Phil Twyford.
Does he agree that under his bill, activities or functions can be shifted from the public to the private sector? And if so, is he aware that he's just met the definition of privatisation widely accepted in the academic literature?
The Honourable John Carter.
No, Mr Speaker, I don't. If that's an example of... If that member's an example of what academics think, then I don't think we have a problem in regard to privatisation in this country.
Brendon Burns.
To the Minister, when the Minister compared his proposals to allow private sector involvement in water services to having his lawns mowed by a contractor, was he aware that under the provisions of this bill, the lawn mowing contractor would own his lawn and he'd be stuck with him for 35 years?
The Honourable John Carter.
Mr Speaker, what the member fails to understand is that when we're talking about the provision of water and PPPs, that we're talking about the administration of the water, not the ownership. In this case, Mr Speaker, the fact is that the lawns continue growing and the councils will continue owning the water supplies in New Zealand and providing it to the public of New Zealand.
That point of order, Lynn Pillay.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order. A point of order has been called.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Lynn Pillay.
I seek leave to table a survey from the Royal College of GPs which shows they are currently consulting about concerns with the ACC guidelines.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Honourable members, I have much pleasure in informing the House that Te Ariki Nui Ki Ingi Tūheitia is within the precincts of this chamber and I'm sure members would wish that he be welcomed and accorded a seat on the left of the chair. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.